Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. This is Kenyan Revolutionary coming to you very late, very late, very late. Poleni sana. I'm very late in the, well, it's not like it's usually scheduled, but I'm late. I'm late. Karibuni sana, karibuni sana, karibuni sana, karibuni sana. This is a late session. It's been a long weekend so far for those ardent football fans or soccer fans, as we is known as globally. Manchester United just beat Chelsea 2-1 in a terrible game. But that's not the topic of discussion today. So you can imagine I'm in a tetchy mood, but not really. I'm good. I'm good. Karibuni sana, karibuni sana. I'm just here. I'll be here very briefly because it's late, so I want to keep you. I know it's very late in Kenya. You're probably enjoying your weekend, especially if you're a Man United fan. You are celebrating, having a drink, doing whatever the case, whatever you're doing. But let's get to the issue. Whatever you'll be watching, if you're going to watch this on repeat, you know the deal. The first order of business is to like the video. If it's your first time here, my name is Kenyan Revolutionary. As I said, I talk about Kenyan politics and world politics as it relates to Kenya. If you like that kind of content, this is a place for you. Karibu sana. Subscribe, share, like, comment, do all the good stuff, and tell your friends. We can come over here and talk about stuff, all right? Now, if this is your first time, if this is not your first time, you've already subscribed, then the first order of business is to do what? Is subscribe, all right? Anyway, let's get to it. Latest news on Kenyan politics. Now, I will not talk much about what's happening in Kenya because there's nothing really much happening outside of the ordinary. Besides the Oparanya making some whatever pronouncements in somewhere in Kakamega or Bungoma, whatever the case was. Then there was Junet, who went to Northeastern, where he comes from originally, and he was booed off stage. And not a lot is happening in Kenyan political sphere, in my opinion. I know there are people who get excited about this news when, for example, Martha Karua, she met a bunch of Somali folks somewhere who are joining his party, who I think they have 3 memberships. Jimmy Wanjigi also had his party launch or whatever the case, presidential launch for his Safina party. They were celebrating, I don't know what, 20 years or 18 years of Safina party. Not really news that really excites me personally. There's nothing really there. Jimmy Wanjigi, to me, the whole thing, again, I'll be rambling. If you want the link, by the way, I'll throw you the link. I won't be here for long, but I'll just, burn some oil, midnight oil. But why did I say burning midnight oil? I'll just be here discussing, rambling about it. What is really happening in Kenya? There's a biggest story that I want to talk about, which is what might happen this coming Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, which is actually has my attention. But we'll start with Kenya news, okay? So what's really happening in Kenya, okay? We have DCP people running around, Matiang'i. Matiang'i had a interview with Dibal, I believe. I didn't watch the interview because, I saw the snippets of it. There's nothing, like I say, these people are not moving any needle as far as any real change in the political system of Kenya, okay? He was saying that same things. They're acting like, oh, Ruto this, Ruto that, I can do a better job than Ruto. Kalonzo also came in today telling us that, oh, there are so many people who don't want him to run for president, but he will be running for president. We get it. You all want to be president. Kalonzo, Martha Karua, Matiang'i, Kalonzo, we get it. You all want to be president. I get that part. I can care less because we all, majority of Kenyans at least, look at you guys as a bunch of fakes. You are just part of the problem. You've contributed to where Kenya is. So you're really not exciting anyone but yourselves, okay? Including Jimmy Wanjigi, who, had a pompous, shiny stuff unraveling of 18 years of celebration. Now, I don't know where to start. Like I say, I'm freestyling, so I'll be all over the place. I'll look at what excites me, what's making news, and I'll talk about it briefly before I really get to this whole other part of what I want to talk about, which is about the Feast of Trumpets. I talked about it briefly before, but there are people who are really getting excited about this. And to be honest with you, I'm also a little bit but I'm really looking up to it. This Tuesday might be because not only that the Christians, some people are prophesying, saying that this Tuesday, between Tuesday and Wednesday, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, might be the rapture, because that's when the Jewish celebrations of the Feast of the Trumpets, okay? And also, there are people, the elitist groups, intelligence agencies, whether it's the CIA or whatever the case is, and other agencies from other nations, intelligence agencies, are saying that, this Tuesday, something huge might be happening. So is it a coincidence that, this date might be, very significant to human history? We'll wait and see. I'll just play you some snippets. You can see, compare notes, and see why I'm saying this Tuesday might be a very interesting date in human history, okay? But let's start with our usual shenanigans, okay? What's our usual shenanigans? The Kenyan news, okay? Where do I start? Where do I start? Where do I start? There's too much to even think about where to start, okay? All right, I'll start with, see, you can tell I'm not prepared, but I will go ahead and get started. Now listen to this guy. I want you to listen to this guy who posted in his, before I even get to it, because I told you, this is Kenyan news and world news as it relates to Kenya. So let's get to this guy, what he's talking about. He's mentioning this whole, all of a sudden, the governments that are falling, that are failing, whether it's the Bangladesh, that's, the prime minister ran away, Nepal, which, were voted out by the Gen Zs, not voted out, but they were chased away, basically, through popular revolution. That I advocate for, hopefully happens in Kenya, but, I'm not holding my breath on that. But what I'm saying is there seems to be a trend that governments are kind of giving up control. They're losing control, and it's like, who is going to be taking over from these governments if no one seems to be able to stabilize different But let me just start with this, then I'll go to other news, so I don't confuse you here and there. Like I told you, I'm all over the place. Please like the video, subscribe, share, comment, and do all the good stuff. I'll get to the rapture part, okay? Don't worry about it. That's what excites me. But we have to start, mpaka tuanze nyumbani. We have to start home, okay? About what happens. Let me start with the general. I think this guy sets up the whole Ninio for the discussion. So let me just play this clip and just get a glimpse of what I'm talking about, what I'm trying to talk about in general. Here it is. Do not hesitate to like the video, okay? Sa, twende. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed, of course, okay? Here it is. Listen to this gentleman who I think...
Resources distributed by digital. Something doesn't add up. Governments around the world aren't just failing at random. It looks too orchestrated. And if that's the case, then this is dangerous info. I mean, look around. Energy grids collapsing, food systems stumbling, parliaments in constant deadlock. Leaders suddenly look incapable of solving even basic problems. That's not just bad luck. That's stagecraft. The elites are trying to abolish governments. The reason why governments around the world look incapable in the past few years, it's not random, not at all. Fact. In places like the World Economic Forum, the UN's development programs, and private think tanks, they are already talking about post-nation governance. A future where borders and politicians fade, replaced by algorithmic management. Smart cities run by code, resources distributed by digital overseers. AI not just assisting government, but being the government. Now, AI governance in itself isn't evil. It could mean fairness, efficiency, decisions made without human corruption, but only if it was neutral. Open code, public servers, oversight by truth, not profit. But that's not what's being prepared. Right now, the servers belong to corporate giants. The algorithms are written by private labs. Oversight? Nobody. Which means the people would be trading flawed governments for something worse. A control system you can't vote out, can't question, can't even see. Fact, the EU has already passed laws for AI oversight boards. Fact, the UN's 2030 agenda speaks of automated monitoring of resources and populations. Fact, defense departments are testing predictive governance models as we speak. The collapse of trust in governments isn't an accident, it's a setup. The replacement isn't democracy reborn. It's governance by a machine owned by the same few who hollowed out the old system.
All right. Now. Here's the thing, though. With that one said, what is troubling is some people are looking at this. Let me just I was talking to this gentleman, and he saw that clip, and he talked to me. He told me that that's a step to a one world government that we've been talking about. We've been talking about New World Order and all this stuff, but eventually we are going to get to the worldwide. No, we don't need it. Okay, we don't need education. Okay, fine. One world government. Okay, and you can see there's a collapse in several governments. Now you see what is happening in France. Of course, I've told you what is happening in France is very much connected to, the fact that France is losing its grip on its former colonies, especially in Africa, where it was drawing a lot of whatever natural resources to help, keep France afloat. But now that Africa is shutting down shop for them, things are looking not so very good. Okay, so that plays a part. Now you can see, even when we had our Gen Z movement in Kenya, I made a video about who might have been behind this Gen Z movement, because I always question. I'm all for Gen Z movement. We should have a popular revolution like the one we had in Nepal. But I always ask, why is the Gen Z movement dead? We are not in the streets anymore. Are we being remote controlled by some people who might be connected to the elites? Or are the elites actually indirectly, in control of this so-called Gen Z movement? Nepal, okay? There are people who are arguing that this Nepal movement was actually it was financed by NGOs who are affiliated with the Western world, okay? For whatever reason. I'll show you in a second, play your video that actually is related to that. It talks about that. Now, I know some people were excited and talked about, it was the youth who actually were fed up of the government's failed policies, whether it was economy and, the same thing that's happening in Kenya. We see the kids of the politicians' relatives and kids, and these politicians too, like the Sonkos and whoever. They walk around flaunting money, clothes and all this. Who needs a church in the State House? Right, Yagdev, who needs church in the State House? We see the same thing that was happening in Nepal it was happening in Kenya. You see these politicians seems to be disconnected with the population. Okay, they post on Instagram the new houses and fancy cars that they bought. What's that lady, Omanga? She's notorious for this. Okay, she just handed his son, a 20-year-old son, a new, was it Mercedes Maybach or whatever the case is? I don't know, some new car, right? So these are the similar things that were happening in Nepal. And the Nepalese or Nepal Gen Z said enough is enough. They went out there and they removed these guys, burned down their houses, chased them away from the country, and some of them even lost their lives. So yes, I do advocate for something similar to happen in Kenya. But again, somebody made a very interesting point saying that even though these Gen Zs were actually annoyed and, disappointed and, aggravated to a point where they had to go to the streets and do something about this, the money that was actually funding these movements were coming from somewhere else because of Nepal's geographic location, given the fact that it's in between, I don't know, China and India, who seems to be not looking at the West for cooperation. So they're looking at Nepal as somewhere where they would like to actually influence. So there's questions about that. But I do not know much about the Nepalese politics enough to say that, that movement was single-handedly manipulated, funded by, NGOs and whoever is there as the transition government are being remotely controlled by the West. I can't say that because I don't know the politics in Nepal. I talked to a Nepalese couple who told me that, yes, the West are trying to kind of influence whoever is going to be the next government. They're trying to be part of it. But it's a wait and see kind of. Victoria Nuland is the British, is it the former British Prime Minister or something that lasted 2 months or something like that? I don't know. Yeah. So could it be? That's why I always ask this question after this Gen Z thing happened in Kenya. We first started this whole thing. After it happened, I asked myself, were these Gen Zs, the people who are funding it, was it the NGOs who are behind this? Or what is it? Because why did we stop? Okay? All of a sudden, Ruto is continuing with his egregious actions of corruption and not even caring what you think about him. You see Oscar Suri today, he was telling a priest that, if you don't have time, then you might leave. We'll bring another priest to, see over the whole process. Kibet yesterday, what's his name? I forgot his name. Kibet came out yesterday. Orange Revolution. Yes, Orange Revolution in Ukraine was by George Soros. Bruce Yoglev. That was a George Soros written all over it. What was I saying? Yes, Kibet, I forgot his name, was saying that, mkianza kupiga makelele hapa, we might even keep Ruto till 2042. And that shows you how much this guy really actually do not care about what the public thinks. Why do they have this confidence? Do they know something that we don't know? Obviously they do. That's why they're talking how they're talking. They seem to have Gen Zs under control. I don't see anyone putting posters saying we are going to the streets. Okay, I saw one which said, is it Jamhuri Day or October something, okay? That people should go back to the streets. But, ile asira tulikuwa nayo isn't there. And here, here's a perfect example by Murkomen when he was being questioned about the insecurity in some other parts of Kenya and all that stuff. And here, here's his response.
With it until the political season or political events happen. Case in point, 1, Mandamano, and 2, the ousted DP. We have seen the government, for lack of a better word, coming after the allies, and truth be told, social media is not working for you. This is my question. What is the strategy that you have moving forward? Or are you comfortable with the idea that citizens should continue having this bad blood with the force? And actually, I will tell you the truth. The public is starting to get angry and hungry for your blood because you have seen even policemen being beaten up. So what is the way forward? Or are you okay with it? And will you continue with the hard talk that you've been having?
Mama Mboga. I'm told. She doesn't look like one. Let me say that in terms of, I don't, the relationship between the police and the citizens, in your own words, is good until politicians or political actors create chaos in between. It must be remembered that police officers are not necessarily, do not generate the problems we have. You know, land cases, people fight over land cases, it becomes insecurity. People fight over power. Yeah? And then in the process, police come into the equation, and then everybody forgets about the competition for political power. It now becomes how the police officers were brutal in the execution of their duties. So I think that the real problem is to ask political leaders to sort their political problems using the constitution and peaceful means, so that they do not have to overload, to create problems for the police officers. If you have a situation like we had on 25th and on 7/7, where, you know, police stations were banned, courts were banned, supermarkets, business looted, what do you expect the police officers to do? They have to respond. They have also to arrest those who did it and charge it. The police officers don't go around asking, can we get political support of X and Y to come? We are led by the evidence to the suspect. And if the evidence leads to a particular person who had paid people to ferry people to come and ban a court of law, where the Chief Justice is on record herself saying this is an act of terror, those people will be arrested and charged, you know, for what they committed.
But we've seen police firing tear gas to opposition convoys. Can the police stay away from partisan politics?
If and I've said this before, if those convoys were peaceful and they were not disrupting public peace, they were not attacking each other, this group and the other, there would be no need for police. There have been many political rallies peaceful, even this weekend. Did you see the police?
But when there's violence, you're supposed to arrest them.
Why?
And we've not seen evidence of that, Waziri.
Because
sometimes the convoys are just on the road and we see they've been blocked and then there's tear gas being fired.
Because if you see police officers blocking even yourself, they block you at some point, they must have been trailing you, knowing where you're headed to. Particularly if you are planning to commit an offense. You don't wait until you burn the shop for you to be blocked from going to that direction. If you are carrying people, for example, you are carrying people, you have people in your car carrying crude weapons, should we just allow you to go?
So we saw this
and say that you have not committed any offense.
We saw this in Nakuru and they were merely just attending a church function. How did you know they were going to commit crime?
I don't remember particular incidences where a church function was being whatever, but I speak as a person who has also been on the other side, you know, who police have thrown tear gas to. And in those instances, I think the police were justified, because even though I complained then, when you sit back and look at what happened at that particular incident, there were two groups that were fighting. Even though I was in the side that I considered myself peaceful, we found ourselves in the situation. The police do only those things in extreme situations. It's not a daily thing. That's why. Did you see any tear gas this weekend? But the same leaders were having their rallies peacefully. Nobody bothered, because it is only when police officers know that a crime is about to be committed when they are going to do those issues. And finally, yes, on the relationship generally, I still believe also that police officers and the public still need to improve on their relations. It starts with training the police officers. Most of the police officers leave Kiganja with no further training. Now the IG recently has started training, organizing conferences for the OCSs, telling them about community engagement, holding barasas with the public. In some places, by the way, where I get very, very excited is to go to a place and the IG has proposed to transfer an OCS, and the entire community is up in arms. They want to call for mandamano so that the OCS doesn't leave. And you ask them why. They tell you, before this OCS came here, we used to have a lot of criminal activities here. This OCS is perfect. Please don't move him. If you have to promote and leave him here. So there are clear cases across. And not one or two. There are many cases where, because of this good working relationship with the community, our police officer, I admit that we should do better. Okay. I admit that we have better engagement, all right, but progress is being made.
Let's get some two questions over here. If you
have... Ay. Murkomen, um, Murkomen is arguably the most incompetent CS in the history of Kenya. I mean, this guy has held 3 dockets. Was he like the ministry of what? Before that, 3 sports, minister of sports or CS of sports. Before that, he was the CS of I don't know what. Then now they've. I mean, must this guy hold a CS position in Ruto's cabinet? Like, what's the obsession with this guy? And every docket or every position that he's been appointed, he failed fantastically. But they still persist with him. I mean, his explanation, I do not need to break it down to you. I mean, he says if the police show up, it's because they've been trailing you and they know that you're going to commit a crime. So when Rex was shot down during Mandamano, did they know that Rex was going to commit a crime? When Ojwang was beat up in the police station and lost his life, did they know that he was going to commit crime? By all indications, they were not criminals. So Murkomen, again, that's why I'm past talking about the kind of things that happen in Kenya, like when I hear these so-called CSAs or government representative talk, because it's nonsense and they put it on TV, on public, for you to consume. And I don't know. That's why I'm keep on asking, where is the outrage? Where is the outrage by the Gen Zs? Because what these guys are doing are more serious than even before June 25th, 2025. 24, sorry. I mean, someone comes in and just gives you a answer like that, and it's nonsense, it's bull. Why are we still ati polisi, they come in wakijua ati unaenda commit crime? So are they going to make preemptive arrests? Do you know what's in anyway? I'm not here to argue about that. Gladys Wanga found herself on hot soup and she almost lost it when Cherargei was Gladys Wanga. She's been the darling of I don't know what, like governors talking about how Homa Bay is the poster child for what governors should be doing, the most, developed or whatever the case is. But, the reports from Auditor General seems to suggest otherwise. But here's Gladys Wanga having an exchange with Cherargei or whoever that was, and she was not having it. She was... Again, the people of Homa Bay, the Gen Zs of Homa Bay, where are you? Where's the outrage? Or are we waiting for... Anyway, I'm just saying, like, the things that these public representatives in Kenya are doing warrants a public lynching. Okay? But we are not seeing any outrage. There's no mandamano. There's nothing. People are still talking about DCP and Gachagua and Ruto in 2027 and how we are going to defeat. I was even disappointed when I was looking at Safina Party and they were talking about 2027 as if, I mean, at least Paul Muite said something a little bit better. That he said that, with the looting that's happening right now, we shouldn't be waiting till 2027. We should go to the streets. Because that's the only language that this regime actually understands. But I feel sorry for Paul Muite because I think he was rubbing shoulders with people who have been beneficiaries of this corrupt system. I mean, Jimmy Wanjigi, he says good stuff like I've said before, but this guy is a beneficiary of this corrupt system. There's no way you expect it. And if you look at their 4-point agenda that they are, marketing up there for Safina, there's nothing that talks about corruption. It's talking about, I don't know, debt reduction and all this nonsense. And I'll post it here for you guys to see it. I thought it was a bunch of nothing. It was a waste of time and money for Jimmy Wanjigi to come out there and tell us about things that we already know. We are at the solution point at this point. Don't tell us about your manifesto. We know manifestos don't mean anything. Whether it's the ODM manifesto, whether it's Safina's manifesto, whether it's DCP manifesto, or the sloganeering by these clowns that walk around and talk about 2027. 2027 is not the solution. I'm sorry. We have to go back to the people. The people have to stand up and make the move. And it's not in 2027. It's not through the ballot. I'm sorry. Ruto owns the ballot. Not because it's popular, but he has it in his pocket. So he gets to decide who's going to win. I've sung that song for quite a long time. I don't need to repeat to you. I'm preaching to the choir at this point. But here's Wanga. Here's Wanga, who, you know, she was losing it for a second because she didn't like what was saying, what was being said.
And you agree that the 1,000. So you also agree that you have 1,327 ghost workers. And Appendix 2 has got the list of the 1,327 ghost workers by name, ID number, payroll number. Appendix 2 that starts from page 59. Because if you agree with the report and you agree that there are 1,300 ghost workers, you need to exorcise the ghost.
You need to exercise the ghost. Yeah. So Wanga has 1,300 and something ghost workers on the payroll. Nobody knows what they do, and they're getting paid. But she's the poster child for, right. Yes, how long are we going to take this president's nonsense? Of course, it's not just the president, the whole political system. It's nonsense all over. That's what we need to actually, I need to help refocus our anger, so to speak. It's not just the president that is full of this nonsense, full of it, so to speak. It's the whole political class, whether it's the so-called opposition or the ruling party or ruling whatever, the administration of the day, the government of the day. They're both full of it. Okay. So how long are we going to take this? I'll get to the rapture part. Okay. That's what excites, that's what I'm concerned about. Now, I don't even know. We have to play the favorite Kenyan politician. These are the things the kind of things that they talk about. Our friend, not our friend, but I'm being sarcastic. Our friend.
Naomba tu wetu wa Kenya. Naomba nyinyi. I've been around for some times. I've been in leadership for more than 50 years. And I always advise people. It's always better 1,000 times to have a bad government than not to have one. Afadhali uwe na serikali katika nchi yako kuliko kutokuwa na serikali. Sasa hivi mimi nilikuwa na ofisi kule Sudan, Khartoum, kwa ajili mimi ni president wa the larger Eastern African Trade Union Confederation kutoka Madagascar mpaka Eritrea. Kule Khartoum huwezi ingia, nchi ilikuwa sawa, huwezi kuingia kule, hakuna immigration, hakuna nini, kuna chakula, watu walihama, ilibidi tuhamishe ofisi yetu tupeleke Cairo. Kwenda Goma kule Kongo, kwenda zile nchi ambazo zina shida. Angalia katika televisheni yako yale yanayofanyika katika Gaza. Mwaka wa 94 watu walimalizana Rwanda. Ukifikiria utaleta fujo na uone raha, hautaona. And the world is watching. You will butcher yourself while the international world is watching. Nobody will come for your aid. Keep peace. And nataka kuadvise also Gen Zs. Mjue ya kwamba with stability in the country, future is there for you. Na mzozo ukitokea hamtakuwako, mtasambaratika, hautajua pahali mama yako alienda na baba yako. Let's keep this nation. Let's support the president. Let's support the government. Whether you are in or not, afadhali ulale njaa kwa nchi ambayo ina amani. I'm telling you, as a man who has been around for some times, peace is most important. Asante kwa kunisikiza. Mzee aende vizuri mama.
Atuoli is saying afadhali ulale njaa, but there's and at the same time he's telling you, Gen Z, no, actually wambie, you have a future. Even if it's in a bad government, in a country that is being badly governed, you have a future. Afadhali ulale njaa, but iko peace. While he eats. Unaona vile siku hizi amejipaka mafuta. Ay. Okay. Then we have Gachagua. Gachagua pia yuko. He's telling us he wants to take us to the Kibaki days. Okay. Just giving you a few snippets of
in the station. Went to the US for 6 weeks, I came back. Kenyans told me, looking around, we need change in this country. We need change through the ballot. We need a new leader for this country. And looking around and analyzing the situation, tukiangalia.
Hold on. He said we need change through the ballot.
This country. We need change through the ballot.
Change through the ballot. Change through the ballot. Change through the ballot. Really?
We need a new leader for this country. And looking around and analyzing the situation, tukiangalia wewe ndio uko na nguvu ya kutoa hii jamaa aende nyumbani. So I accepted the request of the people of Kenya to run for the presidency in 2027, and I came yesterday home to ask for your blessings. Mumenibariki. Yeah, so as I start this journey, I needed blessings from home, and I'm happy to be here in Orengo PCA. Why does Rigathi Gachagua want to be president? I don't want to promise you lies that I'll build roads, I'll build dams, I'll connect electricity. Those are lies. The country is almost broke. We have a debt of 12 trillion. So telling people I'll do this, I'll do that, ni uongo. Mchungaji umesema I'm a truthful man. If Kenyans elect me as president, Mungu akikubali, I don't want to promise lies to the people of Kenya. I want to do only one thing, to restore the Kenyan state to where Mwai Kibaki left us. And few things we want to do only. Make sure we restore our health system, that when you go to hospital, there are drugs. Restore NHIF so that when you have a card and you go to hospital, you are treated and you go home. Restore the education system, free primary education that Mwai Kibaki gave us. Make sure we restore the university financing model so that our children can get education, which is an equalizer.
Okay. This is what I usually say. If you want to identify these con men and women, they tell you these wonderful things that they want to change, do whatever, move around, shake. But the bottom line is this, and I will say it for the umpteenth time, and I will never fail to say this again and again and again and again. Right, there's no food. You cannot implement all these wonderful things that you're talking about if there's no accountability, or if we don't account for the money that has been stolen since 1963. Not only the money, the injustice that has occurred since 1963. We cannot move forward. You can't come up with, because what you're doing is not different from what Ruto did. You're not doing anything different from what Uhuru did. You're not doing anything different from what Kibaki did. You're not doing anything different from what Moi did. You're not doing anything different from what Kenyatta one did. Jomo. You're promising us wonderful goodies. Oh, I will do this. I will do this. I will come up this. We'll bring you back to this. I'll bring back new change. I'll bring back this. I have this wonderful plan. We shall do it. You know, you say all these wonderful things, but it's nothing. It's just talk. Ni kuongea tu. Hiyo ni mdomo. We don't believe you. Sorry, especially if we look at your character. It's not an accident that we have the same characters since the late 80s that has been playing merry-go-round in our political system. The same people, faces, politicians, some of them are in their 90s, late 90s. They do not want to get out of politics. They're still telling us about fighting corruption, and they've been embroiled in every corruption scandals in Kenya. But year in, year out, utaona was standing on top of a car rooftop, whatever the case is, addressing the public, telling them how they shall bring them a new sijui nini, maendeleo, development, and all this. Same face. Yani nyinyi hamkasiriki? Don't you see there's something missing here? Hawa watu, they're the same. From Ruto. Ruto started working for Moi back then. I mean, just use tuanze kufikiria. I've always said this. Just think. And by the way, I'm not saying that we need some fresh young. I know some people say we need young people in government. We need young. The problem is not age. Sio shida. I don't care if you are 155 years old, but if you have integrity, you're a stand-up person, you're patriotic, you are not corrupt, you have a history, a CV of fighting for a better Kenya, then yes, and you're competent, of course. Yes, we can put you there whether you're 155 or you're 23. It doesn't matter. That's why I don't, hii mambo ya kusema ati, we need more young people to take offices. We need more gens. It's a silly argument that I hear people, touting around. Ati, we need Gen Zs to be in the next parliament, to acquire hapo kwa ile parliament inakuja because Gen Zs are young and we are tired of these old politics. It's not about age. There are plenty of young people who are as corrupt as this, the Gachagwas and the Railas and the Uhurus and the Rutos and the Kalonzos and the Karuas. So the problem is not age. Wacheni mambo ya sijui, let's put vijana hapo, we need vijana. You have to be competent. That's number one. Number two, you have to be somebody who has a history of fighting for the right thing, proven, have been through the fire. Si mtu unasimama tu unasema ati wewe unataka kuwa president kwa sababu you just let's not make it an age issue, ageism. What I'm trying to say is that don't you find it weird or interesting that these same faces, whether this united opposition or Ruto's regime or Raila and all that, are the same people who are walikuwa na kwa serikali ya nani ya Moi orphan, so to speak. They've just been flip-flopping. I saw Aino Waiguru after serving 10 years as a governor, now anataka kuwa senator. Hajachoka na chakula na nini pesa na kupora mali. I mean, where's the Asira? When I say Asira, where is the outrage? Righteous indignation to make change. Yes, a lot of Kenyan people are good people. But our politicians ni wale. Now what they are promising the same thing. Hey, nikiingia hapo 3 days our debt will be over. Nikiingia hapo, hey, SHA itafanya kazi. Tutarudi NHIF, whatever. Nikiingia hapo, nitapeleka vile siku za Kibaki. As if Kibaki was a failure. He was no different from his predecessors and successors. He was just as corrupt. There was no difference. So for you to come and tell us that you want to bring us back to Kibaki, we don't want to go back to Kibaki years. That's what I'm saying. Don't you get outraged by these same faces? I'm choking out the same faces. These are proven failures. Tumewatest, tumewajua hawa ni watu waizi, wagaidi, wakora, wauaji. But we entertain them day in, day out. Na hizi the parties za ujinga na kuja nao kila siku. UDA, ODM, Safina, DCP, LDP, sijui PPP, sijui nini, Wiper. Even the names itself tells you that this is a corrupt organization. Na ni wale, sura ni ile, wanazidi tu kunona kwa ninio. But there's no outrage. Ni wale. Even the Sifunas. Wanapiga makelele hapo kwa nini? Si uliona yule nani? Onyonka alikuwa anapiga makelele hapo Citizen. Akisema Ruto has been stealing nini. Then who did he endorse? Matiang'i. Matiang'i can tell you right now, Matiang'i is worse than Ruto even before he gets to Nenio, to presidency. Uliona kiburi yake vile alikuanga CS of Interior vile nani alimweka hapo. Yule mlevi. Kenyatta. You saw how Matiang'i was behaving. So imagine him being the head of armed forces. Huh? Hey! Wewe! Mnacheza nyinyi. Na ndio mnakaa hapo na yeye ati mnampatia these people should not be getting interviews. Matiang'i should be eating mchicha. Kamiti. Kama mevaa ninio. Kaptula. na anavunjwa every day, anavunjwa. Torture. Mi am for torture. Niwaambia tu ukweli hapa, mi si wadanganyi. Watu wengine mpaka wavunjwe. Matiang'i anafaa kuvunjwa. He shouldn't be walking around na hiyo weight na mashavu yake imenona hivyo. Matiang'i anafaa kuvunjwa. Ruto, Raila, Martha Karua, Kalonzo Musyoka, Wamalwa, Gachagua, they should be in one cage. Uchi. Na wanavunjwa viboko, nyaunyo kila siku, na wanakula mchicha na maji ya machungwa. Jimmy Wanjigi pia ndani yake. They should be on TV talking to us about sijui future, sijui your future di hivi, future di hivi. Na wamewakula pesa, wamewakula. Murkomen should be halved. Murkomen anafaa kuwa mabusu. Not in State House, sijui anajifanya ati yeye ndio sijui security interior. Ati sijui nini. Yeah. Why are we playing with these people? Na mnawapigia makofi. Atuoli. Na ile tumbo yake. And you listen to him. Anawaambia. Atuoli is telling you ati it's better ulale njaa lakini kuna peace. Kwa sababu yeye ako na chakula ya kutosha na hata it's too much. Na anazidi kuiba. Lakini wewe kaa tu hapo kwa ninio hungry kwa sababu there's peace. Kwa sababu yeye anakula na anakula na wao hizi. That's what I mean. Na nawaambia tu kwa public, na nyinyi mnamwangalia mnampigia makofi. Na hata saa nyingine anawaita shenzi na mnampigia makofi. Mnamuita mheshimiwa, mnamuentertain, mnamfungulia mlango. Boss. Nepal. Omanga ananunuanga gari mpya every month. Anatoa Mercedes mpya. Ile ni BMW mpya na anaimba wimbo za Yesu. Hii ni movie. Kenya is not a real place. Karibu sana brother Benson, nice seeing you. Kenya is not a real place. Ni ukatun. Watu ambao wanawaibia ndio wameshawaibia, wana post picture vile wako na pesa mingi, pesa ambao wameiba kutoka kwenu. Hakuna madawa kwa hosi, you cannot be treated, na unalipa ushuru, road haifanyi kazi. Wanga ako na 1,300 ghost workers, ujui hiyo pesa inaenda wapi. Na akikuja unamuita mheshimiwa na ana post kwa TikTok, ako New York, anarudi ako na Mercedes mpya G-Wagon kama ya Joho mpya. Do you know how much G-Wagon is cost? Unaanza $200,000 kuendelea juu. Hebu niambie hiyo ni milioni ngapi ya Kenya? Na ni pesa yako wewe ambao unatoa ushuru. Lakini utaenda kupiga makofi. Mheshimiwa, nitumia ya lunch. Wacha niingize brother Benson wacha niweke brother Benson hapa kidogo. What is wrong with people? Nini mbaya na nyinyi? Tuko na ugonjwa. Something is wrong with us. Brother Benson akoko ndio hiyo link. Kirongeta natuambia the only way is military way, then all these politicians should be arrested. They have all stolen from Kenyans and have sold all our natural resources to foreigners and multi-coordinations. Mi ile kitu inanishangaza, there's no outrage. There's no outrage. Kila mtu siku hizi ni celebrity. We are in the age of materialism. Tunashangilia watu ambao wako na pesa, ati wako na gari kubwa, wako na nyumba kubwa. Hakuna decency, human decency. Mwache mchezo nani. Brother Benson.
Habari gani kakangu?
Nipatie dawa blood pressure yangu inirudi chini kidogo.
Sasa gani?
Hai. Anyway, namna gani?
Mimi niko mzuri, labda wewe.
Mimi niko na uchungu sana nikiongelea hii maneno, lakini nimefurahi kukuona, so niambie ile iko kwa roho. Toa yote kwa roho.
Mimi niko tu, unajua saa zingine mimi nakaa chini tu hivi naangalia venye matukio zinatokea, labda tunaomba Mungu, maybe tuombe siku moja tutaona wema hapo mbeleni.
So siasa, niambie unataka kuanza wapi? Tuanze whatever, whether it's DCP, Gladys Wanga ako na ghost workers, sijui wewe ni mmoja wao ghost workers ama wewe ni wa wapi? Tuambie pale unataka kuongea. Yoyote ile issue inakusumbua, ile jambo linakusumbua kwa siasa ya Kenya. Nini inakusumbua?
Unajua, ukishakuwa katika jukwaa la ya kuwa unatoa maoni katika siasa, unapata kwamba hata sasa unapata kwamba kuna kitu ambacho labda kinakuwa itakusumbua sana, kwa sababu umekaa ukaona mchezo la paka na panya, na pia umekuja ukaangalia wananchi ukasema kwamba sasa sisi tuko wapi, lakini unakuja unabaki kama kielelezo cha jamii, ambao labda wewe unatoa maoni ambao labda kama kuna mtu mmoja ambao labda anaweza kuiangalia namna venye unaiona na kuja afanye uamuzi bora, then hapo ndio sasa utakuwa, kwa sababu hakuna kitu ambacho labda utakuwa unaweza sema katika siasa zetu zinaweza kuwa labda zinakushangaza, kwa sababu ni vitu ambazo matukio ambayo zimekuwa zikitokea. Ikikuja ufisadi, si mara ya kwanza tunapata ufisadi, ni ile tu kila wakati imekuwa kama ni wimbo wa taifa. Ufisadi imetokea hapa na pale. Ukikuja katika siasa unapata kwamba wale ambao hawakokuwa wanasikizana pale awali wanasikizana saizi, alafu ile mrengo mwingine inakuita wewe ulikuwa hivi na hivi, lakini unajua hivyo. So unapata saa zingine unabaki tu unasema wacha sisi tukue kama kielelezo cha jamii, tuseme hapa ni mbaya na hapa ni kuzuri.
Naam. Sasa wacha nikuulize hivi. Mimi nakubaliana nawe kabisa. Lakini nasema hivi, mimi naiangalia hivi. Kama nchi yetu inaporwa na hao wanasiasa na wengine wao marafiki zao na au wafanyabiashara ambao wanapora mali. Na tumefika kwa wakati ambao saa ni kama ni tabia ambao kila mtu amekubali, yani imekuwa normalized. Unaona? So vile umesema sasa kuzungumza juu ya hiyo, ukisema ni kama unaimba wimbo wa taifa. Sasa swali kwako ni hivi. Kuna kitu ambacho tunaweza kufanya mimi na wewe ama wananchi, ambayo inaweza kuwafungua wananchi macho, ambayo iwakasirishe ama iwapatie hiyo moto ya kusimama na kusema imetosha, hatuwezi kuendelea hivi, maana nchi inaporwa na hakuna kitu ambayo inaweza fanyika inatufaidisha kama sisi wananchi. Kuna kitu tunaweza kufanya?
Upinduzi wa fikra na mawazo.
Na sasa hapo ndio swali, tutaipenduza vipi mawazo ya wengine? Maana kila mtu anaiangalia hivi. Ukianza kuzungumza, ukianza kuwa influential kama wewe Benson, naona uko na wafuasi kadhaa, alafu mimi ni mwanasiasa fulani na najua mimi mambo yangu si sasa nitakupigia simu ambie bwana Benson, naona hapo kuna influence hivi fulani, lakini mimi nitaweza kukulipa kama 1,100 kwa mwezi. Wewe bora tu usiseme ati mimi ni mtu mbaya. Alafu sasa utaona sasa kama ile kazi yako ya kufungua watu macho inageuka sasa, inaanza unaanza kuwasifu hawa wanasiasa.
Unajua, ukitaka upinduzi wa fikra na mawazo katika siasa ambao sisi tunacheza, siasa ambao sisi siasa zetu inafaa hiyo fikra na fikra kwamba unaangalia ni kiongozi gani, ama kama mimi ni kiongozi, ni jambo gani ambao ndaifanya ili inaweza kanikidhi kimaisha, ama jambo ambalo mimi nikileta wazo mzuri inaweza tusaidia sisi, ama inaweza nisaidia mimi. Unajua, unakaa kama kiongozi wewe kivyako, unaona ni labda kitu gani ambazo mimi naweza fanya. Na pia wale ambao wamebarikiwa na masomo ya hali ya juu, ama wale ambao labda Mungu amewabariki na hekima, inafaa watumie hekima zao kueleza jamii bila kuchoka, mpaka siku ile jamii watakuja kujua kwa kweli hii ndio mkondo ambao sisi tunaweza chukua. Kwa sababu unajua, ukiangalia siasa zetu, mimi nasema kila wakati, siasa zetu si siasa za sera. Siasa zetu ni siasa ambao zinatawaliwa na ubinafsi na tunasema biashara ya urejesho. Kwa sababu unapata biashara ya urejesho ni kuwa venye umesema kwamba mimi niko na wafuasi, na nikitaka wafuasi wangu waende ama waende katika mrengo fulani, hautahitaji sana kuangalia wafuasi, lakini utaangalia mimi mwenyewe. Mimi utaniambia mimi ndakupatia labda hela kama hizi, lakini urejesho yangu ambao mimi nakupatia ni urejesho ya kwamba kusema kwamba hawa watu ambao wananifuata wakufuate wewe. Mfano, leo rais alikuwa anazungumza akiwa pale Machakos, akasema akasema kwamba kiongozi Kalonzo Musyoka ni kama amekuwa akipotosha sana sana jamii kutoka Ukambani. Na kwa nini? Amesema kuwa amekuwa katika upinzani, na akatoa mfano mzuri kwamba Raila alijiunga na yeye mapema, ndio maana saa hizi unaona masoko zinajengwa. Wakasema Migori, akataja yale sehemu ambao unapata kwamba Raila hako na wafuasi wengi wa siasa. Na inakuambia sasa kwamba Raila kufanya amuzi kufanya kazi na yeye inamaanisha kwamba hizo soko zinajengwa, ni kwamba maendeleo tu inaletwa kwa sehemu ambayo alikuwa ametaja, kwa sababu labda Raila anafanya na yeye kazi. Na inamaanisha kwamba kwa sababu umekuja kufanya na mimi kazi, marejesho yangu ni kwamba watu wako wapate maendeleo. Hiyo ndio nilikuwa nakwambia uhusiano ya marejesho. Sasa anasema kwamba nyinyi sehemu pale alikuwa anazungumza, hamjapata labda kupata maendeleo kama hayo kwa sababu kiongozi wenu amekataa kujiunga na mimi, ama amekataa kukua na mimi ili nifanye hiyo rejesho. Sasa siasa kama hizo ndio sasa inataka sisi tukuwe na mapinduzi, na tukuwe na watu ambao wanaeleza jamii kwamba nikitofautiana na wewe kisiasa na huko katika uongozini, huwezi mnyima mtu ambaye labda yeye ako Ukambani, labda kwa mfano, na afuati siasa za Kalonzo maendeleo, kwa sababu tu mtu ambaye anatoka eneo hilo ako na ushawishi mkubwa. Hapo ndio sasa sisi tunafanya makosa. Sasa siasa zetu za urejesho, hiyo ndio nakwambia. Sasa inataka mapinduzi kiakili, na sisi tujue na tudadavue vizuri, tueleze jambo ambalo alikuwa amesema si la kweli, na ni hiyo ni siasa tu. Sasa wewe ukifanya uamuzi, ufanye uamuzi mzuri.
Na yeye kama rais hana mamlaka ya kufanya hiyo, maana tuko na katiba ambayo yaeleza kinagaubaga vile maendeleo yafaa kuendelea kwa sehemu zote za nchi. Si lazima rais aende sijui aseme mimi nimeshikana na Raila basi haya watu wa Nyanza watapata maendeleo. Katiba inasema sehemu zote za Kenya zafaa kupewa nini? Sera za kutosha, ndio waendeleze maendeleo huko upande zote za Kenya. Waelewa? Sasa mimi nasema hivi, hawa watu ambao wako na elimu ya juu, hawa wana habari kama wewe na wengine wewe ambao wako na influence, mbona tusiseme maneno kama haya? Tuseme haya, rais alisema hivyo, lakini katiba iko, katiba yasema hivi. Maana mimi niko nasema hivi, shida Kenya, shida kubwa Kenya ni kwamba hatufuatilii sheria, hatutii katiba. Kila mtu ana manifesto na atakwambia vile mimi nitawaletea maendeleo hapa, sijui nini, nitawapatia pesa, mtakuwa na pesa mfukoni, sijui nini. Lakini hiyo sio shida. Shida ya kwanza mpaka tufuatilie katiba, na kufuata katiba nasema hivi, mpaka tuanze na wale watu ambao walipora mali ama kama waliiba pesa ya serikali. Kwa hizo serikali ambazo zilizopita, zile administration ambazo zilizopita, wanafaa rudishe ama washtakiwe, na ndio tuendelee mbele. La sivyo tutaendelea na hii shida, itaendelea hivyo. Kila mtu anakuja na ninio manifesto yake, atuambia hivi kama vile Gachagua atuambia yatueleza, lakini tutaendelea hivyo, hatuoni ninio. Endelea, pole.
Unajua ndugu yangu, shida ambayo sisi imetupiga kama nchi ni kwamba kuna pahali ambapo labda tunaweza kusema kwamba sisi pia tulikosea sana, na unapata kwamba siasa zetu kitambo, ukata ukiangalia wakati wa Kinorengo walikuwa wanapiga siasa, walikuwa na mfumo tofauti zaidi, lakini kuna pahali ambapo tulikosea, tukajua kwamba siasa zetu ni siasa za biashara, ambapo hatutaangalia wewe unauza sera gani ama wewe ni mtu wa aina gani, bali tu mfuko wako umebarikiwa kimfuko ama kifedha, alafu wewe utakuwa ni kiongozi. Hapo ndio sasa sisi tumekosea. Ndio unapata shida ambayo sisi tuko nayo. Hata tukisema kama tunataka kuwa na viongozi bora, hatuwezi kuwa na viongozi bora kwa sababu tumewekeza sana katika hali ya kujua pesa, biashara, si kuangalia vitu halisi. Hapo ndio tumewekeza kwa biashara, kwa sababu unapata mara mingi unapata kwamba kitu ambacho watu wanaongelea sana ni fedha, na si hata tu kwa watu ambao wanaishi maisha duni, hata kwa wale maviongozi ambao wako katika bunge. Unakumbuka hata rais mwenyewe alikiri yeye mwenyewe akasema kwamba kuna ile pesa ambao hawa watu wanaitisha, ile honga ambao watu wanaitisha, ndio jambo itendeke. Bila hiyo, so unapata kama tukishakaa katika mazingira, tunajua kwamba jambo la kwanza ni mimi nikitaka kukutatulia we maneno, jambo la kwanza ni lazima ukuwe na pesa. Basi hapo ndio sasa tutakuwa tumekosea. So jambo la kwanza lazima tukue watu ambao wanaweza kufikiria kwamba si shida zote ambao sisi tunapitia lazima zitatuliwe kupitia tu pesa. Kuna yale ambao tunaweza tatulia kwa mazungumzo. So hayo ndio sasa shida sisi tuko nayo. Shida ya kila kitu ni pesa.
Lakini sasa ndio nasema hivi, tuko na katiba mpya, na katiba yasema hivi, hata kama tukimpigia mtu ambao ana hela ama ni mtu ambao ako na pesa mingi, haijalishi kama wewe ni fukara ama uko na hela, ukishinda uchaguzi na ukawa mwanabunge ama rais ama MCA ama governor, haijalishi, katiba iko hapo ya kueleza vile mambo yafaa kuwa. So ukianza kufanya mambo yako kama tuseme ufisaji ama kusema ati hii upande huu hawa majamaa watapata pesa kiasi hivi ama wale watapata hivi, haiwezekani, maana katiba iko hapo inakueleza ni kama ile guidance Biblia ambayo kuonyesha vile unafaa kugovern, waelewa? So as long as umechukua hiyo, uko na hiyo responsibility kama governor ama rais, kuna vitu ambao unaweza kufanya. Lakini ikikuja kwa maneno kama ya maendeleo, ni bunge. Ndio maana bunge ndio utengeneza utengeneza bajeti, waelewa? So kuna vitu ambao naona rais anafanya ambao si hafai kufanya, hana ile mamlaka, hajapewa hiyo mamlaka kisheria, lakini yofanya na watu bado hawasemi kitu. Sasa ndio maana anasema hivi, kama bunge haisemi kitu, bunge ndio hao ni kama wamehongwa na rais. Sijui kama ni ukweli, lakini watu wanasema bunge imenuliwa na rais. Basi wananchi mpaka wasimame. Lakini wananchi, kila mwananchi ambao tuseme brother Benson akisimama akianza kusema mambo kama hayo, haya kesho tutamwona ndio huyo ashaenda State House akapewa yake, naye anaanza kumsifu rais. Unaona?
Mimi nakubaliana na wewe 100% kwa sababu jambo ambalo sisi tunatukumba kama nchi na ni ukosefu sana ukosefu wa uongozi ama ukosefu wa viongozi ambao sisi tuko nayo. Mimi sidhani kama katiba ndiyo shida, kwa sababu kama tungekuwa na viongozi ama wananchi ambao wanaheshimu sheria, tungekuwa mbali sana, kwa sababu unapata kwamba hata sisi wenyewe ambao tunafuata hawa wanasiasa, kuna vitu fulani ambao hawa wanafanya, sisi kwetu tunaona kama ni ya kweli ama ni vizuri. Hata kama imekeuka sheria, watakuwa wanakupatia hata historia, jamaa alifanya hivi na hivi, kwa nini sasa yakifanya ni makosa? Unajua hapo ndio sasa sisi tunakosea, kwa sababu sijui kama umeona ama kama ukiangalia siasa vizuri, unapata kwa saizi ambapo tunazungumza na wewe, kila governor ambaye ako katika chama cha ODM wamekuwa sasa, mimi naweza ita kwa lugha ya Kiswahili kwamba ni wapambe wa rais. Ni wapambe wa rais. Kwa nini? Kwa sababu wanazungumzia mambo ya rais, laini wanasema maendeleo na vitu kama hizo, ambapo unapata kwamba ni tofauti na hapo awali, wakati ambapo Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga hakukuwa na uhusiano bora na Mheshimiwa William Ruto. Na ukiangalia mabadiliko hayo yametokea katika muda mchache sana, na utajiuliza nini ambayo labda imeleta hayo mabadiliko? Na hiyo mabadiliko imeletwa kwa sababu kuna ile mahusiano mema ambao wako nayo, ambapo saa zingine pia ukiangalia kwa undani zaidi utapata kwamba faida yake kwa mwananchi haijabadilisha maisha ya mwananchi venye labda walikuwa wanatarajia. Unaona? So hiyo ni ukosefu ya uongozi. Inamaanisha uongozi ambao labda viongozi ambao sisi tuko nao si watu ambao wanaangalia masilahi ya nchi na masilahi ya watu ambao wanaongoza, lakini masilahi yao wenyewe.
Mimi nitasema hivi, nasema tuko na katiba mpya, lakini ni kama hiyo katiba haijafuatiliwa. Tulipiga kura tu na katiba mpya, lakini ni kama hatuifuatilii, na ile sheria ambayo tunazitengeneza hatuzifuatilii. Maana tukifuata katiba hatungekuwa na hizi shida zote. Maana ukifikiria vizuri, hii katiba ilitengenezwa ndio ipambane na hizi shida ambao tunasema sasa hivi, kama hizo mambo ya rais kwenda sijui kama one of the complaints ambao tulikuwa tunasikia wakati wakina Orengo huko 1990s, wakina Martha Karua vile walikuwa wanampinga Rais Moi.
Let me come back.
Okay, sawa. All right guys, that was Brother Benson. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is this. The biggest problem in Kenya is lack of rule of law. Nobody follows the constitution. The constitution is there. We had a new constitution, but it has never been fully implemented. We only obey it when we find it's favorable. And I'm talking about the administration of the day. Just like Uhuru did it, just like Kibaki did it, and now Ruto. Okay? Ruto should not be going to places saying that, hey, I will only help Nyanza province because now I'm in a political coalition with Raila Odinga. And I'm not going to let the people of Ukambani to have development because I'm not in good space with in our relationship with Kalonzo, who is deemed to be the tribal chieftain of Ukambani, is at loggerheads with Ruto. That's not how our politics should be conducted. Okay, that's basically what I'm saying, because the constitution there says, how the wealth of the nation should be distributed evenly, okay, equitably, okay. So that's the point I was making. And all these problems that we're talking about in Kenya can be resolved if we were to follow the constitution to the T. But no one is doing that. No one is calling them out. No one has the voice. And the people who have the voice have either been bought off, jailed, maimed, killed, or they just disappeared. Okay, they don't want to speak about it. So that's the problem. That now I'm trying to brainstorm. How can we change this? How can we change everything? And that's why I'm bringing the idea of a popular revolution. It has to be a popular revolution by the people coming together and agreeing that, hey, listen, the system is not working. It's failing us. We cannot depend on the constitutional institutions or the people who are mandated constitutionally to represent us. They have surrendered their power to the executive branch of power, which is headed by Ruto, who is the head of state, administratively speaking. And Ruto has also usurped power from the judicial system, so you can never find justice if you ever try to go against his administration. And he has also usurped power from the independent institution like the IEBC, which is supposed to be conducting the elections in 2027. So what's the solution? You cannot work within a system that's already been corrupted. Ruto is going to win. So you have to go back to the people. And the people have to have a conference. I'm not talking about intergenerational conclave. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people saying, hey, we are not going to elections. Why are we not going to the elections? Because Ruto has usurped power from the IBC. So what we are going to do is demand that Ruto resigns, and we are going to the streets, and we are not going to leave the streets until Ruto and the whole executive branch of government, him along with his CSS, whether it's Murkomen and everybody else, were talking. Same with the whole legislative branch and all the governors and MCAs and all the MPs and all the wards, whatever the case, women reps and all that stuff. We shall have an interim government, such like we have in Nepal, that will prepare the country in the next 1 year, 6 months, 90 days, whatever the case is, to the next general elections. So we can have fresh elections where we shall have fresh new leaders who shall adhere to the constitution. Meanwhile, Ruto and his cohorts and all branches of government shall sit in front of Ninio to answer questions about their perfidies or their perfidious behavior or their breach of the constitution or their criminal behavior while they were in power. And we shall look from 1963, the historical injustices. We have a bunch of documentation about that. The TRG, JSC, the Kriegler report, Waki report, all of that. We review that and see where justice needs to happen. And we deliver it so that we can move on. We can audit our debt and see how much we really owe. Who actually stole what? They should be liable if they stole it, as the Constitution says. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? But anyway, guys, I was about to talk about September 23rd. Rapture. I think I will save it for next time. Sorry, guys, it's about time. I'll just stop here for today. But do me one favor, one cute favor. Like the video, share, subscribe, do all the stuff. All of you guys who are watching on X, please, please, please go to my YouTube channel, like it, share, subscribe, do all the good stuff, and share with your friends. Tell them about them. I'll always put the link if you want to be part of this discussion. Go ahead and put the link. So next time I come in, we can always have this discussion. I've been saying this. There's something, we cannot keep on living where we have the Atwolis of this world mocking us, calling us stupid, shenzi, and all this, offensive words, while they rob us in the daylight, nothing is happening. He has the audacity to tell us that, hey, listen, it's better off to sleep hungry as long as there's peace, as long as he's robbing you, as long as he's looting the country. It's okay, because he is sitting somewhere in a plum office, air conditioned, okay? Sends his money to Geneva, where he brags about he has to fly there once every month to go cash in the taxpayers' dollars that he stolen from you. Where's the outrage? That's what I'm talking about. There has to be something has to be done. Somebody has to be outraged enough. Tunisia, was it Tunisia or Morocco, one of the Arab countries? How did the Arab Spring start? Somebody went to the Tahrir Square or whatever the case is, and lit himself on fire. And people went and removed Mubarak or whoever it was. Sudan was the same thing. We've had cases of this. Somebody has to do something. It can start from a podcast. It can start from the streets. It can start from anywhere. But it has to happen. We cannot have this country being looted, not only by the Ruto's administration, but with his associates and the previous regimes who are still holding huge positions in the private sector and even the governmental sector. We cannot have this. Simply, we cannot survive like this. It's impossible. This is not sustainable. Something has to give in. Gen Zs, where are you? This is anyone, listen, anyone who talks about 2027 needs to be slapped upside his head. Seriously, there's no way. You cannot be serious. Well, if you are talking about, oh, I'm going to be a presidential candidate in 2027 and trust this IBC that has been handpicked by Ruto and Raila to conduct a fair, verifiable, transparent elections. Are you out of your freaking mind? Be serious. It is about Nepal. Nepal showed us how to do it. We can do it. We started before Nepal. We actually gave Nepal the homework of how to do it, and they did it right. We made a mistake and listened to those paid NGO, Boniface Mwangi and Hanefa and all this Makaure or whatever, these clowns that were brought in to pretend that they were revolutionary, but they were nothing but working for the elites, the corrupt elites. This time we have to finish the job. It has to be done. Revolution has to happen in Kenya. I'm sorry. It has to. It's going to be a peaceful, popular revolution. PPR. Peaceful, popular revolution. It has to happen. There's no if, buts about it. It has to happen. We need a fresh start. All these KANU orphans need to disappear. They need to be jailed, need to be brought to justice, need to be brought to account, need to answer questions of their role since 1963. We cannot have them. Revolution mpaka iendelee. Mpaka it's a must. Ruto unanisikia? Gachagua, hata wewe utaenda jela. Raila, hata wewe. Kalonzo, hata wewe. We have to have a revolution in Kenya. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, do me a favor. Wake a like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the good stuff. I'll stop here. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you guys later. I might make my last video. Did I say my last video? Oh, let me not say that. You never know. On Tuesday, we might not be here for some of us. I'll talk about that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for Brother Benson and everybody else. Share, like, subscribe, comment, do all the good stuff. I'm out of here. Peace and blessings. I'm out. Peace.